Good morning. My name is Nick Mann, and I want to tell you about my novel, Forgetful, which was published in September 2013 by the Strategic Book Publishing and Rights Company out of Houston, Texas. It's been my dream for many years in life to write, and I have stories to tell, and this is the first in the series of stories that I want to tell about a central character by the name of Benjamin Parks, Dr. Benjamin Parks. Dr. Parks lives in Washington, D.C. He was raised in D.C. and works professionally in D.C. as a college professor and organization development consultant. He's a family man. He has a wife. He has sons and a grandson. He's active in the community, and the story takes you through many areas of D.C., including LaDroit Park, where he lives, Howard University, Rock Creek Park, Carter Barron, Michigan Park, and some other areas that people from the local D.C. Community would recognize. He also spends time in New York City and Harlem and in the financial district in Lower Manhattan. And so some of you from there, or if you're familiar with New York, you'll find scenes there that you might be interested in. I got a review from Karen Lyon, who writes in a community local newspaper called The Hill Rag, and her column every month is called the Literary Hill. And this review was published in February 2014, and I want to read it to you. It's a kind review, and it gives a sense of the story. She calls it Senior Moments. Benjamin Parks is entering middle age as a successful consultant and much sought-after leader of lively seminars on cross-cultural communication. He's got a nice house in LaDroit Park, Washington, D.C., a loving extended family, and an attractive and accomplished wife. But all is not well with Dr. Parks. He frequently experiences memory lapses, and as he watches older family members succumb to dementia, he worries that he's next. Forgetful, a new novel by local D.C. author Nick Mann, follows Ben Parks through several years of his life as he confronts the unthinkable, while still maintaining a busy professional schedule and dealing with increasing tensions at home. As he relives incidents in his past that have led him to where he is today, he struggles with the ambiguity of this situation and the fears that threaten to overwhelm him. Will he find the courage to deal with whatever the future holds? Can he draw on the wisdom that guides his thought-provoking seminars to forge a new path for himself? Whatever the outcome, and you won't learn it here, one thing is certain: spending time with the complex and very human Dr. Parks is an absolute pleasure from start to finish. I was very happy to get that review, and I appreciate Karen Lyon's kind words in the February edition of the Hill Rag. I want to read some selected sections from the book for you so that you can get a sense of some of the critical incidents in the story. And I want to start with several passages that kind of give you the arc of the issue of dementia as experienced by Ben Parks' mom, whose name is Jillian Parks. And this first section would have happened in around the fall of 2002 at a Thanksgiving celebration that the Parks family holds every year. And I'll just start. Addie jumped out out from the passenger seat of her new Lexus, hurried up the 7 flagstone steps from the sidewalk, and then cut right off the front walk and across the lawn to the back of the house, where she knew the kitchen back door would be open. She clutched her dish of lovingly seasoned and prepared fresh green beans. The sister could burn. She just didn't choose to very often. Inside, she joined the Parks clan women, preparing the annual family Thanksgiving dinner. Ben piled out of the car, smiling at his son's handiwork. "Nice job," he observed. "We're next, right?" "You ain't said nothing but a word, Pop," croaked Rico, as he opened up the hose on the Lexus, making sure he got some, but not too much, on his dad. Tony was backing Aunt Penny's car into the garage next to his grandfather's Volvo. The horn blew from the street behind it. Adam, the accountant, with wife Asia and Addie's 2 grandkids, Shonda and little Adam, a.k.a. Deuce, pulled up in his gray Chrysler van, complete with DVD player and wall-to-wall sound system blaring Past the Courvoisier from the Busta Rhymes CD. Ben jumped back into the Lexus and pulled forward so the van could be behind it in the driveway. Adam's family piled out and went back behind the house. Now 4 Parks males, Ben, Tony, Rico, and AR, plus Addie's son, Adam, and grandson, Deuce, were taking all customers. Cousin Corrine and her silver Mercedes pulled up in the street behind the driveway and called out, "Have you got time to do mine too?" Rico was the first to answer. "If you family and you pull up to this house, you're going to get washed. Find a spot on the street, Auntie Corrine, till we get room, and leave us the key. We take care of it." I'm going to skip a little bit here so that you'll see how Jillian comes into the scene that's happening outside their house in Carter Barron, D.C. Back in the Carter Barron driveway, Erykah Badu and Common's "Love of My Life" was playing from the boombox inside the garage. Then Ben's mom, 87-year-old Jillian, wandered out from the side door onto a raised patio on the left front of the house, stood at the top of another set of flagstone steps that came down into the driveway outside the garage, and looked over the scene with a slight smile masking confusion. From below in the driveway, everyone greeted her, and she smiled back in the absent recognition that had become her signature in the past year or so. She didn't seem to know anyone. A.R. ran up the 5 steps and hugged his great-grandmother. "Nice to see you, young man," said Jillian. Oh. Nobody commented. And the nonplussed A.R. went back to working on the wheels of Adams's van. Then Jillian stepped carefully down the 5 steps using a railing on the right side. Picking up a scrub brush from one of the many pails lined up in a row, Ben's mom started toward Tony's Prius, and before anyone could stop her, she started applying soap. "Wait, Mom," said Ben with a quiet voice that belayed underlying desperation. "Those are the cards we've already finished." Jillian looked at him blankly, and then confusion and anger crossed her face. Nobody else spoke, and Ben waited for the explosion that might happen if his mom felt threatened. Just then Penny appeared, walking fast across the patio and down the steps to her mom's side. "Mama!" There was no recognition from her mom. Then Penny reloaded. "Jillian, there you are, out here with the men." Ben silently thanked his sister for the rescue. Jillian dropped the scrub brush, threw up her hands, and smiled sheepishly toward her daughter. The 2 women went arm in arm around the right side of the house, across the lawn, toward the kitchen door, and into the back. So, this is a episode early in the progression of Jillian's dementia, which evolves into Alzheimer's over the course of the book. And the next section I want to read is a little earlier than that. It happens around 2006 in the springtime. Ben Parks sat on the enclosed porch with his mom as she sipped lemonade from a straw. Ben's dad, Richard Parks, had dropped her off so he could run some errands. Jillian Parks couldn't be left alone because she wandered into things, got confused, and had been known to have accidents. Penelope Parks Tompkins, Ben's younger sister, now lived with their parents, but she'd gone out of town for the weekend to visit her own grandkids, leaving Dad alone to watch Jillian. Jillian at one time had been a fabulous cook. She'd majored in home economics at that Alabama HBCU so long ago. In those days, home ec was considered one of the only sensible majors for a black woman if she really wanted to get a job. To this day, she loved cooking shows, so Ben had turned the satellite TV on the porch to the Iron Chef program. Jillian stared at the 50-inch Samsung flat screen and seemed to recognize something. Ben wasn't sure. But with her occupied and safe for the moment, Ben went to the kitchen to refresh her lemonade. Suddenly from the porch, he heard his 91-year-old mom's voice. E-I-C, then A-C-I, then I-A-G-I-C-E. Jillian had gone into another zone, calling out nonsense letters, Ben thought. Many random letters signifying nothing. And he had very mixed emotions. And now I want to skip toward the end of the book so that you can see now you've seen a 86-year-old Jillian, and you've seen a 91-year-old Jillian, and this is as the story of Jillian's fight with Alzheimer's is wrapping up. You'll see how it progresses, and this is from a chapter called Jillian Screams. Suddenly there was a scream from the back. Rich Park! Rich Park! Oh my, grr, gee, oh ba, grr, gee, oh, Rich Park! Richard was grabbing for his cane, which had slipped down on the floor. Ben said, Dad, please, I'll go back and see about Mom. I need to. Maybe you do, Dad, but I'll call you if it's something I don't know how to handle. Please just sit and rest. The scream came. Pen Park! A-I, G. I told you, no. By then, Ben was at his mom's bedside. She was in one of the 2 4-post twin beds in the master bedroom. Richard had given away their queen-size bed 4 years ago and replaced it with these 2 so that he could sleep in the same room with Jillian, yet avoid being injured by her unconscious thrashing in the night. Jillian was sitting up in the bed looking around, but obviously not recognizing anything. Her look was one of terror. Ben spoke softly, Mom. Hi, Mom. It's Ben, Mom. No, I told you, screamed Ben's mom. Her arm swung around, and Ben just barely stepped back in time to miss the punch. Now Richard was at the door with a glass of water in his hand. He placed it by the side table and handed Ben a pill and a spoon. Mash this up in the water. What is it? Asked Ben. It's called haloperidol. Will it calm her down? Yes. It's an antipsychotic that the doctors have prescribed for her. It works pretty quickly. Jillian swung again and caught Ben on the arm. The punch didn't hurt, but it shocked him. Richard said, She fights me, and sometimes I can't handle her. Penny handles her better than me sometimes, but she's confused, and she gets real strong sometimes. Ben was in data overload. Antipsychotic. He heard the words and recoiled. Mom isn't psychotic, he thought. The pill, Ben, said Richard in an agitated voice. Richard was standing back from the bed. It dawned on Ben that he'd probably been punched many times. Emotions rolled in on him in waves. "Rich Park, you don't gala furgy." His trance broken, Ben used the spoon in the glass to mash the pill until he could stir the dust through the lukewarm water. "Here, add some sugar to mask the taste. Then use this straw. Even when she's agitated, she'll suck if she feels the straw." With the glass on the side table, Ben used both hands to take his mom by the shoulder and use pressure to get her to lie back on the two pillows at the head of the bed. She resisted for a while. "No, no, no, I told you, Pen, no, 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 I told you, Pen, Rich Park, Pen, Rich Park, Pen, Ger, J, ooh, ah, 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 ah. From about 5 steps away was Richard. "Jillian, my dear Jillian, relax, Jillian. Please relax." Eventually she was spent and let Ben ease her back. Then he got the glass and moved the straw to her lips. Instantly she began to suck. As she sucked, she looked around the room and then her eyes stopped moving so fast. Then she smiled a little smile. She nodded, "Pen, and her eyes closed. Ben left his dad sitting on a wooden chair by the side of Jillian's bed. Ben looked back as Richard dabbed her forehead with a cool, wet towel and spoke soft words at her. Ben didn't hear, or maybe didn't try to hear the words. So those are a few passages from Forgetful, my novel published by the Strategic Book Publishing and Rights Company. I'd invite you, if you'd like to see more of it or know more of the story, to go on to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com and search Nick Mann, Forgetful. And I'd love to have you let me know what you think. You can follow me and find announcements about various readings that I'll be doing on Twitter. You can find me at InManDC. And thank you for taking the time to look at this video and to think about Forgetful.